Joining me now from Odessa in Ukraine is Alexei Gончаренко, the Ukrainian MP for Podpisывайтесь. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. I see you're on the move, so hopefully the connection stays stable. But what do you hope to hear from leaders meeting in London today?
First of all, I want to hear two things. First is that Europe will support Ukraine not just with statements, but now we will see concrete steps, because with all respect, and we are very thankful for all support, and we are very thankful for our statements after Friday's meeting in Oval Office, but you can't intercept Russian missile with a statement, and you can't destroy Russian tank with a wording. So we need to understand how really seriously Europe can increase security accent and support and military aid, which is so important right now. And second thing, I think we just can't lose United States of America as a partner. We just can't. That's why I think what had happened on Friday in Washington is really catastrophic. It's a disaster. And we need to do everything we can to heal this division, transatlantic division, which we see on our eyes is widening. We need to stop this. And I think European leaders, Prime Minister Starmer, Prime Minister Meloni, President Macron, as those who are in good contact with President Trump, can be very, very useful in this. And I hope they will do this. We need now clearly messenger between President Zelensky and President Trump. And I hope they will be this messenger, and we will get out of this crisis, because it's bad for United States, it's very bad for Europe, and it can be catastrophic for Ukraine.
What should President Zelensky himself do next?
I think President Zelensky should calm down, should be cold-blooded. What had happened on Friday is also unacceptable. I mean, once again, he should behave in another way. And now we need to repair and rebuild these relationships with the United States. I hope with support of European leaders, but we definitely need it.
You talk about military support from European leaders. My colleague Beth Rigby just mentioned there the Russian point of view of no EU involvement, no NATO involvement. Well, difficult when places like France are members of both, the UK is a member of NATO as well. How do you envisage seeing military support from those countries when it could be so provocative for the Kremlin?
Never be afraid to be provocative for Kremlin, because the main provocation for Kremlin is that we exist. They just want all of us to be part of their empire, that's all. And the main provocation that we just exist. So Kremlin understands only one language of force. Please don't forget it. So don't be afraid of any so-called provocations. Just watch. Finland joined NATO. For decades, Russia was telling, oh, this is unacceptable if NATO will come closer to our borders and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it happened when Finland joined NATO. Russia is just sitting and keeping silence because they can't do anything about this. So that's the right way to behave with Russia.
Sure, but these days, and certainly in the past few days and weeks, we've seen that a provocation of Russia seems to also provoke the US too. They seem much more aligned than they were previously.
I don't think we can speak about alliance between the United States and Russia. I think it's too much. Yeah, there is a lot of rhetoric. But I want to remind you that on Thursday, President Trump prolonged all sanctions against Russia. Just this is not rhetoric. This is something concrete, and these are deeds and decisions. So I don't think there is any alliance with Russia. Yes, Putin is now emboldened. The only one person who was happy with what had happened on Friday in Oval Office is Vladimir Putin. But I think now it's time to send him signal. It's not so good how you hope. Europe is together with the United States. They're standing shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine. We understand the threat. We want peace, but this peace should not be a surrender, and this peace should have a security guarantees both for Ukraine and Europe. That's all. It's time to give him this signal.
Not a surrender, Alexei Gончаренко, but in terms of compromises of which Donald Trump talked about in the Oval Office, what do you think Ukrainians are willing to compromise? Clearly, since 2014, there hadn't been control of Crimea. Do you think there will be compromise on areas of the Donbass that are currently being held by Russia?
I can't speak on behalf of the whole Ukraine. As a Ukrainian MP and Ukrainian politician, I can tell you that first thing is territorial integrity. For us, what are our red lines? Territorial integrity de jure. What do I mean? Yes, it's clear that how we are moving now, probably after end of hostilities, Russia will continue to control part of our territories. But it's a de facto violation of our integrity. But de jure, these territories should remain as illegally occupied by Russia. The day will come, this last colonial empire in Europe will fall apart, and we will regain control over our territories. Second, sovereignty, which is super important for us, that Ukraine is a sovereign state, making its own choices about what alliances to join, what army to build, and so on. And three, security guarantees. I think that should be our Ukrainian red lines, and any deal inside these red lines, I think should be acceptable for Ukraine, because we need peace. We need peace. We are very tired, we are very exhausted, but we will never accept any surrender. So these three things, I think, will give us a kind of most possible just peace for the moment.
Alexei Gончаренко joining us from Odessa in Ukraine this morning. Thanks for speaking to us here on Sky News.
Thank you.